Happy Valley. Beautiful weather.
70 degrees in October. We'll
This
take
is
it.
great football weather.
Not bad.
This is perfect football weather. This is my type of football weather.
Obviously, the schedule changes every single week, but when you find out you're coming to Happy Valley this week, what is the excitement like for the crew, knowing that this is one of the best environments in college football?
Well, first of all, it's like, damn, why we gotta go there? It's so hard to get to. That's the first thing. It's just plane, trains, and automobiles to get here. But once you get here, it's fun. And we know that the kids are gonna show up. It's it's a big game, top 5 matchup, and looking forward to seeing these two teams battle. Yeah, high noon, right? Like everyone wants.
Ideal. When you think about this environment, your colleagues have spoken really highly of it over the years. I know that it's one of the best environments in college football. What do you expect from inside Beaver Stadium in a matchup like this?
Well, it's one of the best environments at nighttime when it's a whiteout. At 12 o'clock, it's cool, but it's special at nighttime, the whiteout. It's just from the optics, the energy, it's just different. It really is, and I do this everywhere, you know what I'm saying? And so that's the special environment that we talk about. 12 noon, it's gonna be loud, it's gonna be rough, it's gonna be crazy because it's Ohio State, Penn State. But I mean, if you've been in this stadium for a whiteout at nighttime, it's just different.
What stands out to you about this matchup? Number 3 versus number 4, a lot of implications with Big Ten and the CFP.
I mean, there's a lot that stands out. You know what I mean? It's like you said, it's a top 5 matchup. You're looking at Ohio State already got 1 loss. Penn State record's unblemished right now, and you got storylines. James Franklin, his record against top 5 teams is terrible. Ryan Day's record against top 5 teams isn't much better. You know what I mean? So you got a bunch of storylines as far as the coaches are concerned. Drew's health got banged up against Wisconsin, but obviously I think, seems like it's things are trending in the right direction as far as him taking the field tomorrow at 12 o'clock. So there's a bunch of storylines. It depends on what you want to focus on.
Desmond, the college football playoff expansion was something that people wanted for a long time, and now it's here. But with this type of matchup, if Penn State loses and goes 11-1, there's still pretty much a sure thing to make the college football playoff. Ohio State already has a loss, but still could get in with a loss tomorrow. Is this the type of game that would make you miss the 4-team format, given that last year you could argue it would have been a must-win for both teams?
Well, there's some pros and cons, right? And I think the cons, the pros are both teams could possibly still be in the running to make it to the CFP, right? But like as a former NFL player, we played the regular season to get a bye for the playoff. That's what you wanted. Secondly, you wanted home field advantage throughout, okay? So there's still things to play for, even if you lose, because, it's the seeding that's important. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good question.
Desmond, obviously, Penn State hasn't beaten Ohio State in 7 years. Does this feel any different this year? Does it feel like it can be a little closer, or does it feel like Penn State can actually have a better chance this year compared to previous years?
I think that this team seems like, they match up pretty well roster-wise with Ohio State. That's what I think. So, what happens in these games is, it comes down to things like maybe turnovers, penalties, things of that nature, or coaching decisions. How do you work the clock late in the game, especially if it's a close game. How do you manage the clock and things of that nature. And so then that's when you see the coaching differences that you may not see when you're playing an inferior opponent whose roster isn't like your roster. So there's not as much tension during the game, especially in the fourth quarter. So that's what I love about these matchups. Because when the rosters are really pretty comparable, it comes down to coaching.
Desmond, talk about some of the challenges of going into a place like Beaver Stadium to play. Obviously, this week it's going to be pretty much all white in there with the helmet stripe game. Next week, the whiteout. Let's talk about those challenges it can cause players and coaches.
Well, I think that, like I said earlier, the environment that really causes the biggest difference is at night, 7:30 whiteout. It's incredible, and I think it's advantageous to the home team, Penn State, to have a game like that. I do believe tomorrow, because it's Ohio State, it's top 5 matchup, that it's still going to be very loud in there, and that could affect the offense. Ohio State has had some issues with the offensive line. I was at the Oregon game. They played on the road. Autzen Stadium is a very, very loud. It's not as big as this stadium, but it's probably just as loud. And there were some false start penalties by Ohio State's offensive line, maybe 4, possibly 5. Things of that nature can affect, obviously, the flow of the game too.
You mentioned the coaches and how their decisions might be the difference maker in this game. Do you think it's James Franklin or Ryan Day who has more to prove this weekend?
It just depends on which side that you are on. I think both coaches have a lot to prove, because, like I said, to open this whole media session, that both have really bad records versus top 5 teams. I mean, there's no hiding that. So both have, I think, a lot to prove. I would say that there's a lot of pressure on Ryan Day, because it seems as though his administration went all in this offseason. I mean, there's no secret that they spent upwards to $20 million to put together a roster to win a national championship. Penn State didn't do that. They didn't do that. He went out and got Chip Kelly, who left his head coaching job at UCLA to become Ohio State's offensive coordinator. So it just seems like they pushed all the chips in the middle of the table during the offseason, which I put on Twitter or Instagram, that I thought it was unfair for them to do this, because now you're just telling your coach it's do or die. This is championship, or we need to turn the page and get a new guy, because we've given you all the resources that you need. So therefore, there's a lot of pressure on him now to win it all. And so if he was to lose this game, you're talking about 2 losses early November, and no one saw that coming. And obviously the thorn in his side has been Michigan. But even before you get to that game, if you lose to Oregon and then you lose to Penn State, and hell, you still got Indiana on your schedule.
For Penn State, is there a path to not just make the playoff, but make a run? Do you feel like they finally have the pieces that they need in terms of being competitive with those elite top 4, top 5 teams?
I think we'll see tomorrow. You know what I mean? Because they've always had pieces, but then they couldn't get it done. So that's just the history of it, right? So we'll see tomorrow. And I think after this game, and they'll be heavily favored in every game moving forward. So this is a huge obstacle in Penn State's path. And even if they win tomorrow afternoon, if they win, then it's going to be James Franklin and his coaching staff's job to make sure the guys don't go down. Because you always see, you have teams, they win a big game, like Notre Dame, they went on the road, they beat Texas A&M at College Station, then they came home to South Bend and lost to Northern Illinois. So you win a big game. If they beat Ohio State, it's Coach Franklin and his coaching staff's job to make sure there are no letdowns.
What have you made about Drew Aller's improvement this year?
Yeah, it's really been pretty good. Yeah, I think that Cole Nicky has done a really good job of not putting a lot of pressure on him. I think with all the shifts and movements and motions and all the eye candy, it helps for him to identify what's going on defensively, but at the same time, it gives him the ability to run like some RPOs. And then obviously with Tyler Warren, he's an incredible weapon. And so he's like a safety valve for Drew Aller, so to speak. And it opens everything up. Like, I remember reading a quote earlier this year, I forget who it was from. It was from one of the offensive players. They said they're having a lot of fun on offense now because everybody's involved. And that was eye-opening to me.
You just talked about Andy Coleman, he kind of turned this offense around from last year. What has been the difference from this year's offense compared to last year's?
Well, like I just said, all the eye candy. I think that has, and then getting everybody involved. Like, once you can get everybody involved, they feel like they're, their role is value, then I think everything runs a lot smoother and more effectively. I think that's what you see. So, and then everyone has a lot of confidence too. And that's half the battle, especially for a quarterback, is to make sure his confidence remains high.
Everybody's talking about Drew Allar's status. Tonight, Dennis Sutton also got hurt against Wisconsin. We didn't see him at practice this week. How much of an impact do you think that has on Saturday if he's not able to go?
Well, one of the biggest battles to keep an eye on, the game within the game, is going to be in the trenches. And it's going to be Ohio State's offensive line, who are also kind of banged up, against, Penn State's defensive line, who may be missing him. So keep an eye on that. Both teams come in there with a weakness, and so we'll see what the matchup looks like as far as the game within the game. But you're right about that. But Abdul Carter, obviously, is a guy who can wreck a game plan, the offensive game plan. And he's one to keep an eye on to see how they move him around and use him in their defense.
Warren for Heisman?
Who?
Warren for Heisman?
No. Not yet, at least. Not yet. I mean, but hey, this is the Heisman game. You go out and have 17 catches against Ohio State and a couple of touchdowns, people start looking at you a little differently.
Get back on the bus.
You guys have fun. Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Good
Desmond.
luck tomorrow, too.
You too.
All right, take care.